My favorite skate shop in the Valley, 5anddimeeaston.com. You can shop online or in store. Their address is 140 Northampton Street, Easton, PA. Their hours are Monday through Friday, 11 to 7, Saturday, 10 to 7, and Sundays, 11 to 5. They carry clothing, shoes, boards, accessories, and more. You can get complete decks down there. They got grip. They got some local clothing down there as well. I know a couple guys that came on the show that they're now selling stuff in store, and they're exclusive to Fucked. They are doing so much for the independent skate community. They're doing so much for the DIY. They're doing a lot in the area with skateboarding, and I couldn't be prouder to have them as a sponsor. Their story is incredible, from starting it when they were 18 and then coming back later in life to opening up what the store is that they wanted. And the two guys down there are just incredible. I can't say enough good things about them. I love that they're a sponsor, and they really help out in the community. And if you skate or want to support them, please go check them out locally. It is 140 Northampton Street, Easton, PA. Online, it is 5anddimeeaston.com. Please go check them out. All Valley rooter, Jared LaBarba, friend of the show, childhood friend, Never Again Studios official plumber. 24-hour emergency services. 610-762-1656. That's 610-762-1656. They charge by the job, not by the hour, and they are 100% fully insured. They have free estimates. They also do installation and repair. They have a list of things. I can't go over them all on here, but you can find them at allvalleyrouter.net. All of Jared's services are on there. It's a beautiful website. You can contact him through that website. You can find out how to do, emergency services. Where should I call? Who should I contact? You can get all that there at allvalleyrouter.net. Free estimates, fully insured. Jared LaBarba. Check him out. Luke Delmeyer Knives, handcrafted, handmade knives. I use mine every time we go to the pop-ups, and it is ridiculous. It is just something special. There's something different. It's handcrafted. It's handmade. Luke has grown since we started the show to now, where he is pumping out knives and classes. I want to push his classes. If you go to lukedelmeyer.com, it has all the information for the classes, and you get to take a 2-day course, and you go over everything from safety on how to use it. You're selecting the knife handles out, and you're really from top to bottom getting to go through the whole experience. Where else can you find that in the Valley? Luke is a very special person to the show. He's really cool. We've done projects together. We have apparel we're doing together. I really want you to go check it out. If you're interested in handcrafted stuff, working class stuff, blue collar stuff, like this is the area you need to go to. But it's lukedelmeyer.com. Luke Delmeyer, handcrafted knives. Sign up for those classes, those courses. Go check that out. It's really cool. It's a 2-day event, and you get to experience making your own knife, and then you take your knife home with you. And you're going to take home a little bit more than that. So check out Luke Delmeyer, friend of the show. Always awesome watching him grow. LukeDelmeyer.com. MindleafCBD.com. Mindleaf. Easton's own Mindleaf CBD. I didn't know a lot about CBD till they became a sponsor and they started coming on the show a lot. And Liz is huge for, I learn something every time she comes on. They are over in College Hill in Easton. You can check out all their information on mindleafcbd.com. I believe you can order there, but go experience the store. Liz's mom works over there. Liz keeps bringing in products such as the honey flights. They have peanut butter, the infused pretzels. My favorite thing is the tinctures to go to sleep. I have problems sleeping, and these things put me out, and I have a little bit of lucid dreams riding a unicorn, and then I wake up back to normal, and then I get excited to do that again. So my big thing I use with them is the tinctures and the balm. The balm is another one. I use it for aches and pains on my knees, and my old man uses it for his arthritis. Mindleaf CBD. They are over in Easton on College Hill. Please go check the store out. Really cool space, and like I said, Liz's mom's over there, and they will help you with everything. It's awesome that they're super local, and I stand behind their CBD and everything that they got coming out of there. That's Mindleaf CBD, mindleafcbd.com. Never Again Radio. I have no clue what episode episode this is.
Action.
Welcome back to Never Again Radio, man. You are on book 3.
Yes. Book 3. Head to the Park is the first one.
So the original book that we did last time was Head to the Park.
Yep. Yeah.
And then now this one, the second one was...
That was last year's Start a
Band.
Yep.
And then now the new one is...
Jacob and Ridley Go Skateboarding. So, yeah, this what they should do all the time. Just go skateboarding.
It was eventually going to go there.
Yeah.
What's it like being an author?
You know what? It's like kind of crazy because I never, you write lyrics for bands forever. It's been like since like the 90s of me writing lyrics. But now I'm just like, oh, like I get to tell a story and like use my own art. This is kind of wild. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm very honored that people like it. It's pretty cool.
Has because you put out the first one, so when you started the book originally, and it's been years since we got into this, but like, was there a path of 5 books from the beginning, or did you do one and then be like, nah, this needs to be a series?
So Josh Burke from the Bethlehem Library, he offered to do like work with me for a 5-book series. So I was like, well, here's one. And then he just goes, could you write 4 more? And I was just like, well, could it be like a fun thing we do like once a year? Because like a lot of people forget, like, 365 days, whatever. So it's just like, why can't we do one a year? It's not a big deal. I mean, it takes me a little bit to do the drawings and stuff, but it just gives me something to look forward to. But also for the library. So why not get people to remember to stop in a library and hang out?
Yeah, it's crazy that like libraries are like slowly becoming not libraries.
Yeah. So I was like, Josh, how about, I don't know, he just said 4 more. So I was like, yeah, sure. Like, how about they start a band? One will be like they go skateboarding. And then I was like, well, what? That's 3. So there's 2 more. It's like, what if they just like did cool stuff in the area or like support a local small business? And he was just like, deal. So I'm like, awesome. Like, let's just make it work. So that's how it is.
Did you know that like telling the stories was like your goal to be motivational and kind of teach a lesson in them? Because we talked a little bit before the show was started, but like it kind of seems like these things are kind of mirroring what you're doing in life with the band and the skateboarding and all that. But I also feel like there's a lot there because a lot of what you do, you're just doing out of pure enjoyment. And then like when you put that into a book and you have kids that are trying to read it and look into it in a mind that's not really tarnished yet, where like they're kind of being motivated to see like positive outlooks in life. Was that something you were trying to do, or is it just something that happened?
It definitely something that did happen, but also I feel like I'm here to inspire kids. Like I'm inspire people to like still remember what made you love so much about skating, or not like or so much about art, or that you can literally do anything you put your mind to. I think a lot of people just forget that like we always say, like the discouragement of like, oh, you can't do that for a living, or you can't live that way the rest of it. Yeah, I can. I can do whatever I want. Listen, I have a real job. I make real money.
Yeah.
I pay real bills, and I just go do cool stuff after. And there's no one telling me that like anymore. It's just like I just like let all those outside bad vibes, those weird things that I'm just like, I'm not interested in that anymore because this is like my life. But if it's my chance to remind people that you can still have fun, or like, you can make your own books. Like I'm figuring it out. I'm not God's gift to drawing or some inspirational guru, but I'm just like, but if I want to make something, you should just make it. And that you can do anything if you really put your mind to it. So I feel like that's my job now with these books, is just to remind kids that like, you know what, no one's gonna constantly tell you that you can't do it. You're gonna figure out tricks, you're gonna figure out how to draw, and you're gonna find your thing, and whatever makes you happy, you should just go with it. So
I feel like that's always been a core for you, is kind of like, seeing you do all the different things over the years. Like when I saw like you were like screen printing your own stuff, or like making your own stickers. Like I always feel like a lot of people give up in situations where they don't want to put in the work, or it's like we were talking about it earlier about like problem solving. So it's like when you're working on an independent level and you're trying to make skateboards or anything like that, it's very difficult, and there's not a lot of doors open, especially back in the day as opposed to now. But like, I always feel like you found a way to always get to your goal, and then you always like pointed that out along the way with like your team or people you're working with, where you're like, hey, we should make shirts and then like get a pizza, but like we can definitely make our own shirts. It's not something that like we should fail at doing if we want to put out shirts, or if, like record. Like there's a lot of people who do bands and they don't ever record, but I feel like when you came on to do the one project with your band, and like I listened to it, I'm like, oh, this is cool that like you pushed this to a point where like you recorded it and then like went on tour. But to put that and kind of like put that part of you on paper and illustration, which are both things that you are proactively going after, like that's huge for somebody to kind of pick that knowledge up. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no,
even
totally.
if one person is like goes through your stuff, or even like I've been motivated, but I mean, the time we spent before this was a podcast on its own.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like when we cross paths and tell war stories, it's like very motivational to have somebody who doesn't give up on trying to do anything that they're ever doing and is finding a way to the goal. And it's very goal driven, and that's how I do a lot of everything here.
And that's the way you should do it. I mean, I feel like when you have set goals, I mean, who likes to start something and not finish it? I mean, I am the worst. Like, I will just beat myself up until I get there. But it's like goals make things go through, and it's just like, I don't know. You said a lot about like how I think about stuff, and it like means a lot to me, because I feel like, you know, sometimes people don't care, but then sometimes I'm just like, but I just want to create. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is what I'm like here for. Like, I'm here to communicate with people. I'm here to do it on like like a skateboarding level, a music level, which I find like music to be one of the greatest outlets of my life. Like, I taught myself how to play bass. I had no idea what I was doing. Like, now I'm like 14 years later, I'm on like, I don't know, I can't even tell you what band I'm on now, like how many, but I'm just like, but it feels cool to just put like each thing you make is like a chapter in our lives. So
yeah.
They might not think of it that way, or some like random stranger, but it's like you put a lot into that. And like when you look back at it, you'll be like thinking of everything. Like for me, I'll be looking at the book being like, damn, this is like a really cool 5 years where like I sat down, and I always involve my friends. Like that's why like the Wipes record's called Making Friends, because I'm just like, I'm involving my friends in my life to a point where like I keep telling everyone we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So like I'm going out, like I'm fighting. I'm gonna fight through this life, not giving up. I'm gonna show people that like you can stand on your own 2 feet, but my hands are always out there to grab my friends and bring me along, because I want this journey of life to be cool. So, like, the book's one outlet, the music's another outlet, you know, and, God, my art, like, I can't believe people are into it, but then after a while, I'm just like, but it makes me feel good, man. So I'm just going to keep going with it. That's kind of how I've been doing it for years. I'm not making a lot of money. I think someone told me recently, they're like, you should do more vocal things, like where you or like maybe interviews, let people know like you are. I'm like, yeah, what, a blue collar guy who is not making millions and who has a ranch house and is just like trying to do cool stuff to get by. Like, I don't have investors. It's all from my pocket. You choose, other people choose their avenues of like, maybe I'll get this sponsor or maybe I'll get this investor. No, it's all me. It's just the way it's always been. And for the team riders, I just want them involved, or in band members. I'm like, just be a part of our lives. Like, look at these moments. Like, last weekend I was in the studio. I ran a vacuum over my bass to make some weird sound. But then I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, but this is going to be on like, it's like 2 releases we're doing. So I'm like, this is going to be something cool we're going to look back on and be like, I remember when this happened. So yeah, that's how I've always done it.
It's crazy getting older and like, and I'm sure it's probably the same for you, but like I look back at like when I started this, and like it all comes back to like needing to create something. So like I never really had artistic paths because I couldn't draw, and I feel like I couldn't express myself. And then I always wanted to be super creative, and it had to come out in like fashion and like film and these other things because I couldn't really put it on the paper or put it anywhere. And then like when I look at like everything that like you say, where it's like, man, if I look back at like the catalog of like what I've done with this since I started it at 28 in a bar to where it is now, like, and like where I want to go next. And like we talked about it before, is like where I want to be next is like, I don't want to be creating for Never Again, because Never Again was basically a thing that I used because of insecurities, because I didn't want to be like, I'm an artist, because I didn't feel like I deserved that title, because I couldn't showcase anything physical on what I was wanting to do. So it's like where I want to be next in life is like similar to what you're doing, is like you just are creating. It's not underneath, not everything is underneath Lost Soul.
No.
It's like you're doing your skateboard stuff, you're doing your books, and then you're doing your music, and like everything you're doing. When I look at you viewing from somebody from like the other side of the lens, is I was like, man, Ray just creates. He just creates nonstop. He hasn't stopped creating. And I feel like that is a tether that always brings us back together, or like when we talk to each other, there's always so much to talk about, because I feel like we're exactly the same. We're like, you're not creating for any other reason than you have to. Yeah. And like, I didn't realize I had to do that until like growing into a 43-year-old man and like having 20 years of therapy, and my therapist being like, hey, we're not in a good place. And I'm like, she's like, I don't like when you're not podcasting, and we know what happens when you just stop doing everything. And like, my life turns into a very different place. And then when I put these things in place and I'm recording and doing this tonight, like I'll be on such a high from having the interactions of seeing you, having this record, and then getting back into editing. And like the other day I was editing and I was like, man, I forgot I love editing, but I'm just editing to edit. I'm not editing because I want to edit. I'm editing because I have to edit. And like to change that palette of like where I'm going next is like so refreshing, and seems like it's so open, and like I can't wait to get there. And like I like that you're putting all these different things out, and I like that like you have grown as an artist, where you're just like, yeah, we could do this yearly, where like before you might have taken it on to be like, this needs to be out next week, and all this pressure and all that, and then like you realize that comes and goes in life through work and things. But like just creating in general is like one of the main reasons I liked having people on here that create, because it's like I don't run into people like that every day. It's hard to run into people and relate to like, hey, I have to do this. And then it's like, I don't know. It's one of those things where like I'm excited for the new in like the next chapter, and like I didn't know I would ever like close a version of what I'm doing, but then realizing that you're not really closing it. You just have to be open to doing more things. And I feel like you do that perfectly in a balance of like, you get to create the entire year.
Yeah. And it's not like it's like, you know, I'm skating a lot.
Yeah. You don't stop.
No. And
like, I love seeing that though. Yeah. I'm like, this motherfucker's out there in the snow.
Yeah. Like, I just don't care. My friends have said that from like Myrtle Beach. They're like, you were just like riding a crate in the snow. And I'm like, yeah, but like, it just makes me happy. Yeah. So I don't.
But when you were a kid, I remember going out sledding. You didn't give a fuck if it was cold out or not.
Didn't care at all. Or like I'll skate, and then I'm like, I feel like, you know, I set really simple goals sometimes, and stuff is like, I don't know. Just when you have that different mindset of like you can do anything, or like for me, like I literally have a thing where I've told other people and they think it's crazy, but I'm like, I learn one new trick a week. And I've been doing it for months, not telling any people. But I'm also like, if you're a close homie, I'd be like, no, I'm going to figure out something weird, or I'm going to make my brain think a little bit more, because it gets kind of exciting to have a goal. Where like the book comes out every November, you know, and like our new line comes out in spring, and I'm like excited about drawing that this year. And just like, I don't know, it's just creating makes me happy.
Yeah. And I feel like whenever I get to create, or like when I'm getting into a project with like Never Again, like, cause like I have an apparel thing that I've been wanting to put out for a while, and I've shown a couple of people, and I really like it, and it's cool. We've just been kind of sitting on it, cause it's always when it gets to like where it needs to be made, and like, how are we going to distribute it? And like, are we doing a pre-sale? Like, that's the part where I'm just like, I wish someone else would just do this. But like creating the shirt with like my buddy Nate, like I became really good friends with him in like the last 5 years. And like, he's he works over at Scribbles and Drips, and he's like a digital designer over there. So like for him to step outside the box of what his normal is, and then me and him just be like fucking around, and like we go get wings like once a week, and like we've just been kind of like, hey, this would be cool, and then he would go home and like make it and send it to me, and like that's how it was when I started everything with Rizart. Is like he was drawing shit by hand, and he would take pictures of it, and I'd be like, hey, change this, and like I'm in love with the process of creating, and then like when it gets to a point of like where it needs to be like a company, that's like kind of like where I'm not interested in that anymore. And like when I was younger, I wanted to do that because I didn't understand what that was. And then when I got there, and I still will do it and I still will sell my stuff, but like I don't look at it the same way anymore. There was at one point where I had like, you know, such high expectations, and I had like was trying to get like Pac Sun and all this stuff, and it was delusional but was working. And then like when all of it kind of went away, and like you don't realize how fast the trends change and all that, and then like where I was left as a person, I was like, well, what did I really enjoy out of that? And I was like, well, you know what I really enjoyed was like, you know, ramping up to like the season coming up, and you know, like I used to get so excited for winter because I was like, yo, hoodies, I'm making hoodies again. I don't care if 3 people buy them. And like that got lost. And like when I started realizing that like creating in general is just like, I was explaining it to my therapist where like, if I create, like after this podcast, I'm going to be up here. And then if I would do something again, I'm going to be up here. And then if I do something again, I'm going to be up here. And if I time that correctly, I have a really long time until I'm back down here to where I was or where I don't want to be. And like when I manage it and look at it that way, and I'm just kind of creating to kind of keep energy levels up, and like it's hard for me to be happy. So like I need to do something to take out of my brain and physically like make it, whether it's like, all right, like that's why I like comedy so much, because like comedy, like I could say something and you laugh, and because I made you feel good, that was an immediate like, oh, okay, like that made me happy that you think that that's funny. So I fuck off a lot. But then like with creating, it's like that's such a personal thing for me where it's like I need to do that to come up because I don't want to be here. And then this all was created because I was in a terrible place, and then I dug myself out. So it's like I need to do it. It's not something that like doesn't need to be done. If I don't do it, like it becomes a very rocky situation like we were talking about earlier, where I start getting into places where I haven't been in years.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing. So I always have like lowest expectations for anything.
Yes, and
it has made life way easier to be like,
absolutely.
I just know
10.
when I start something, no one's gonna like it.
Yep.
You're not gonna sell
bomb
this is
again.
gonna bomb again. I'm gonna put all my effort in. But for some reason, like when you do that with your stuff, like there will be like, you know, there's a couple kids like or like people I know from shows over the years are like, yo, I got one of your books for Christmas. My kid loves it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right. Or like, hey, I got your book the other day from this like book thing, and I read it to my daughter for the first time.
What's that like? I just want to transition a little bit because I do want to stay focused on the book, and I know I'm all over the place. But what's that like for you? Because this is the first time now you have people supporting you, but it's going to their youth. Because like, you know, it's one thing to get a CD or a board, but like for them to be like, yo, I read your book to my daughter. Like that's got to be such a weird, not weird, but like such a different way for you to feel with something that you created because it's a children's book.
Yeah. Well, first off, it's like a huge, like I said, it's an honor that they are into it. You know what I mean? But it's also like I'm trying to sneak in some life lessons that I think we tend to forget about. So I think a lot of stuff gets pushed off when you're handing someone an iPad, when you're like, oh, you don't need to go do that. Just stay on your phone. You know, I see parents doing it left and right where like I had to entertain myself. I had to make sure I went out and did stuff. I created, I skated, I played some sports with friends, but I always try to do it like, I always say, like I told my friend Adam who helps me do this, I'm always like, I always want to do this with my friends by my side. It's like when I feel the coolest, like I literally have such a natural high when I'm filming my friends skating, and I'm like encouraging them to like, you know, you crashed like 100 times, but I know you got it. When's the last time someone's told you that? You know, like I reminded you today that like you can't let anyone dictate your future. You do it. So in my mind, I'm like, you know what? Michael's going to be successful. I'm telling Michael to be successful, and he's going to be successful. So what I do with that with skating is like, I see my friends crash, and I'm like, bro, you have it. And the same with art. Let's just do this project. Or, hey, we're going to do this song. We were just in the studio, and I'm bouncing around from stuff, but like we were doing a wipes songs this weekend, and we're like, I don't know. And I'm like, listen, we got this. It's going to work. It's going to be fun. And dude, I think like the songs took us like 3 tries each, you know what I mean? And like we're all laughing and giggling, and then we're all like, let's go get pizza. Like, yeah, we'll do overdubs. We'll get all this done today. I'll come back. Like, everything's totally doable. So I've just really learned to like instill some of my like stuff that was taught to me, and I'm still learning in life a lot about myself, but I want like, it's such a huge rush because I think you can give a little bit of energy to someone and a little bit of positive stuff, and once they see it, then they just can take off. You know what I mean? Like, I see my nieces drawing and trying to do doodles like me, and I'm like, go for it. Like, let's just do it, because I'm not going to be always able to do it, but I'm like, you will. And I don't know. It's just really heartfelt. It's very awesome that when I find out, like, hey, I read your book to my daughter, or my son got stoked seeing your art, and now he wants a board. You know, like, they didn't even see my skating. They're just like, yeah, they see the book, and they just want to like do stuff. Oh, yeah, my kid just started making music, and it's like, I don't know, you made it look really cool. How you guys can just do? I'm like, yo, everything starts somewhere, but you have to follow through. If you see the beginning and middle and end of something, you've already won before you even started. So that's a phrase I pitch to everyone that was taught to me. And anything, any situation, any problem, any task, I'm always like, all right, can I start it this way? I'm going to get through it this way. And then we're going to come out with like a finished thing. That's kind of cool. All right, awesome. All right, I'm ready to go now. And that's just my outlook on stuff now. Like,
what's it like working with a library? Like, I really enjoy putting people up on this platform, and like, I brought people on that like I never really cared about a following. Like, of course you try and get people on here that would move numbers and things like that, but to do that all the time is like so insane, and it's just not something I liked chasing. Every once in a while it was fun to like land a bigger guest, but like for the most part, like it would humor me to be like, I'm gonna put this person up who like nobody knows who they are, and then I would get texts from people and be like, yo, like I checked out that podcast, like there was a girl on who was doing like murders in the Lehigh Valley, and it was a really cool podcast, and it was very well done, and she didn't have a following really. And then when I had her on, I had people hit me up and be like, dude, I checked her podcast out, it was awesome. And like, that was always like so worth it to me. But like, for you to just kind of be like, I don't know anybody who's really fucking with the library anymore, and they're probably so grateful that you're even putting eyeballs on the library again. But what's it like to like have people come to the library, and like they're probably so stoked on this project because like they're probably constantly looking for people to remind people that there's a library. I don't even know if my nieces even know about libraries.
So I just remember like, I totally remember the library being my escape. So I would want to get out of stuff or get out of class and go to the library. Like, I don't know, Josh Burke it's super cool. It's so funny as we get older, you remember that like, oh, we did meet each other like a million years ago, or you were at that same show space.
Yeah,
like,
that's always weird.
Yeah, so like the whole thing with Josh was like, we all frequented the same venues, like Scarlett O'Hara's or 4G. So it's just like, but now we're all grown up. So it's just like, it's just cool. But I'm just like, the library is a really cool spot. Like, Josh is super cool. He's always trying to make it interesting over there. He added like a studio over there that's like basically free for anyone to use. It's just like, I don't know. I think it's such a good, like, when I see a good spirit or a good heart in someone, I will extend myself more just to like do something together. And like, you can ask Josh, we don't make $1 million from the books either. It's just like, we break even. Cool. That's how I think of it.
That's how I always push the project. That's how anyone who asks me for advice, I was like, just try and break even. Just break even.
And have a good memory.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I mean, when I go and it's my time, I'm going to be rich with memories and rich with no money. And I'm totally down with that because that's what I want. And working with the library, like I said, Josh is super cool. And it's like a really cool day. And it's only for a few hours, you know. It's on November 25th. It's a Saturday, so it's just like, all right, well, let's just make it fun and just have like a good like, hey, remember that we're here and that we do cool events. I mean, they also do like stuff throughout the year for themselves,
Yeah.
like book sales and like other random stuff. But I'm like, why not? To me, it's like, why not?
Do the
Like,
public libraries still get used quite a bit?
they tell me they do. I don't go over all the time. It's I don't even know like, but he's told me there's definitely a lot of traffic. If anything, I'm trying to give a chance to someone to check out the library for the first time. So last year when we did it, people from like my neighborhood came over to the and they were like, "We didn't even know this is here. This is a great library." And I was like, so to me, it's just like it's my job of networking and getting people to work together. So I think they might have even got some check some books out and like we're just excited that they have like another avenue of supporting, you know. So yeah. I don't know.
It's crazy. I haven't been to a library, but like I remember going to a library. Like Nazareth Library is like a great library. I remember like going over there for projects and having the checkbooks out, and then my mom yelling at me because I didn't take them back on time. But like it's a part of the community where like I just forget it exists. Like they do, like they have a projector, and like in the summer they'll do like movies outside on like the side of the library.
Oh, awesome!
And like I was like walking. I think I was like just walking at night, and then I saw it and I was like, oh, that's cool that like that's still a part of the community that I think a lot of people forget about. But to do something with the library and to do projects like that, that's cool that you do. Like, because what do you do? Explain kind of like when you, because you have an event at the library when the book is released, like kind of get into like what the entire function is that you do with the library.
So this is basically just like a book signing, but it's also a book drop. So we don't make a lot of books, and it's, you know, the event starts at like 10 and it goes till 1. And basically, we just sell the children's books. And I don't know, it's just getting people to hang out and you come in. I mean, I think I might try and add some like different art pieces this year. I mean, there's one there now, but mostly it's just to showcase the book. And I don't know, it's a cool spot. Like it's Northside Bethlehem's a pretty rad spot. So I don't know. It's difficult. It's just because like we don't have like games, or I mean we did like a skateboard demo the first year, but I'm always like lugging the ramps over there and doing all this stuff is not the easiest.
No.
So last year we just did a regular signing, and I don't know, it's just nice to see the community come together and come and hang out for a few hours. That was about it.
What do you have planned for the other books?
So I'm thinking like I definitely think even though I'm a huge pizza fan, so I think Jacob and Ridley might want to like get some pizza and go out and have a time of their life. So the book's mostly about this. The books are about exploring and doing stuff, but I also think that like, you know, I might incorporate my dog somehow in the next one. Just like how cool a pet is, and like some pets, people are like, oh, they're pets. I'm like, yeah, they're mostly just like a hairy human. So, I mean, I treat mine like he's almost a human. And
yeah.
Coda's the coolest thing ever. Like, I take him everywhere, but I always know it's like part of your family. So, I only have like 2 more after this, but you never know. Next year, I'm doing an art show in Japan I'm bringing some of the stuff from the book, but it might be translated in Japanese next year, and we might start releasing stuff over there.
So, will you release from book 1?
I think we're gonna start with book 3 maybe, because they really, you know, skateboarding is you know, pretty popular. So, but you never know. I kind of just go with the flow. It's like no expectations. Whatever happens, happens. And then I mean, I see bigger pictures with these characters. It's just a matter of getting into the right hands or meeting some people that are like maybe on a digital level that might want to help me take it to a different level, but. As far as I'm concerned, like I like collecting stuff. I like fanzines, I like books, and I like magazines. So, if anything, this would be a really cool 5 years of my life to show.
Well, that's what now my brain's kind of spinning, because I'm kind of thinking how it would be in your shoes to where you can take these characters to whoever you want. So it's kind of like this really open realm of creating, and then you kind of like build your thing. Like even when you said the pizza thing, I'm like, yeah, that works. Like they would be going to a pizza shop or whatever, and it's like their day for exploring. And then for you to kind of put a cap on it at 5, but then I'm like, yeah, but you could go wherever you wanted with it, and then going overseas with it, and then kind of being able to start over, but it's being translated, but then you're kind of walking into a whole new audience. Like it's pretty crazy how open your creating can actually be.
Yeah, and I'm not like saying like it's just 5 books, but through the library, the whole idea was like, hey, why don't we just try 5?
Yeah.
But to me, I'm just like, I can just keep doing this because it gives me something to look forward to. I mean, I locked myself into a basement while I'm still working my normal job, but for like a month and a half to 2 months. But it's exciting. Like these are like all these are paintings. Like this isn't just like done like digitally. Like I'm literally with a micron pen sitting down and doing it, and then you mess up or you paint it wrong and it looks weird. Scratch it, start over. So some pages take like couple hours from start to finish, but I'm thinking like a long range of like I would love to see it keep going. I kind of think people his best friend's a bird, so I'm just like, why shouldn't they not explore and do stuff? Like I love exploring. And the catchphrase at the end is "May the cool times never end." And in life, if you really think about it, when are your best times? You don't never want them to end. You never like laughing with your friends, sharing a good meal. The other day I saw my wife crying from laughing, and I was like, damn, this is like one of the coolest times right now because she's like having a good time and laughing. That's awesome. So I'm like, I don't want dinner to end right now. I'm like, I'm still trying to drag this dinner out with all of us for
those are cool moments.
Yeah, so like, but you never want those to end, and that kind of gives you an idea of like how I feel about these books and these characters. I'm just like, may the cool times never end. Like they're not going to end as long as I don't want them to. So you just learn to surround yourself around people who are creative or who are like-minded, and stop like push away all that nonsense that is not important in life, and like letting some of the dumbest, smallest stuff go. And then you're like, life's pretty cool. Life's happy. I mean, not every day is easy, but may the cool times never end. Like, I don't know. Like, so I kind of see this going further with like gaming or like even like apps. I'm just like, I see it going. I just gotta hit me up. Hit me up if you can help me get there. But like, we'll do it together because I'm not doing it by myself. Gary Vee is a very famous influencer, salt and pepper guy, Gary Vee. Mm-hmm. And he said, no one gets there to the top by themselves. You never get to the top of where you're going by yourselves. And that goes in business, that goes in life, that goes in everything. And I remember him saying that a few years ago, and I was like, all right, I'm going to try and so like I take my band members with me, I take my skaters with me. I start like incorporating life ideas with like neighbors to like get people to smile, say what's up. Like not every day has to be awful, So yeah, hopefully it keeps going. Like I kind of see it going somewhere. I just got to be reasonable with myself. And
yeah. I liked how you pointed out that you need people to do stuff. I remember pushing Never Again to a point where I was just like, all right, this is the furthest it can go without a team, without somebody helping you. Like you need an army of sorts and people in the right places. Even with this, like this show has been so held back because it's just me. Like if I had someone doing all the editing and like putting it out on social media and like all that, what that grind is.
Oh my God. It's
I stopped. Yeah, I just stopped.
It's hard. It's
really
hard.
I stopped before I went to Cali, and then I went to Cali. People like when I travel and I do the Insta story, but I also like having that many pictures because like I can go back and like I'm gonna get all my Cali photos together, and I'm gonna like show my parents that trip how they used to show me when like back in the day
when they go on vacation.
Yeah, because he would just take pictures. So I was like, oh, I could digitally put this on the thing and like go through it all and be like, here's where we were here. Because I remember when my grandmother got back when camcorders first came out, she got all of her sons a camcorder, and then when we would go on vacation, or any of them when we go on vacation, she would come over and they would show the media.
Yeah.
So it's like other than putting that out, I haven't been doing shit, and it's felt super normal. And then like I really realized like how much of a rat race and how much of a trap that algorithm is, and the thinking that like it's going to go out further when it's just getting hit by the fucking wave coming in every day. And like to free myself from that has also been really freeing in the sense of like when I create next is like, hey man, this doesn't have to be at this specific time, and this doesn't need to trend when that's trending, and you don't need to add this song in it. It's like you're kind of controlling your creating with boundaries of things that don't really exist. And when I took that break off of social media, I was like, man, I don't want to grind like that again. It was I went nowhere.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, I mean, it's like well, I think you just have to come to realization of like what you really want in your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's the problem is not knowing that.
Yeah, and
so you put it out there,
and you know, like I know what I want to do for the rest of my life, and I'm gonna continue to do this, whether every hater hates that I have a board company, or why don't I have a children's book, or his art's kind of whack. I don't even know. It doesn't even matter. You can do it. Yeah, I'm not saying anyone's, but I'm just gonna continue to do it. Like. It really, God honestly, makes me happy any day I can make someone put a smile on their face or even weird them out while playing music that, like, I'm not, like, some great musician, you know what I mean? Like, I'm this dude just plays bass.
Yeah.
But I want to make music, and I'm going to make music and yell, and it's fun, or I'm going to make music, and I just started playing acoustic guitar. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea. And I was like, I told Jared, my friend Jared, who had captured recording studios, I was like, Jared, I need a drummer. I just want to play some like acoustic stuff. And he's like, what? You're playing acoustic? I'm like, yeah, I bought like a $50 acoustic at a yard sale, and I'm just going to start playing just to give me something to do when my bandmates can't make band practice. And he's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, it's just like, it makes me feel good. So I'm just not going to care. It's hard to get caught up in the rat race of like, oh, is it ever going to get anywhere? Or is so-and-so going to like me? Or is, skater from the area going to be mad at me that I have all this stuff going on? Like, I don't care. It truly, at the end of the day, it's in my house. I'm going to do what I want with my friends and my family. And I just learned to let all that go. And my man, Charlie, my shaman, has helped me so much. My family is just like, they're still kind of weird about it, but I've never met someone who kind of brought me to a realization who was a third-party outsider, who literally was just like, listen, this is what's going on. You need to change it. You're a good person. Keep trying.
It's usually what happens.
Yeah.
For, like, change is very difficult, and people don't want to change, or they don't know that they need to change. And usually when you're surrounded by loved ones, it's hard to take it in for some reason. But anytime I've, like, grown in a major aspect has been like these little moments of like somebody who is not in my daily life just kind of like being like, hey, how about you turn this way?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah, I like that route. And then I went down that way, and I was like, hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then all my friends are like, we've been telling you that for years, but for some reason it usually takes the person that you would least expect to have that much of an impact out of nowhere to just, you know, sometimes it's people that they ended up marrying. Sometimes it's people that are only in your life for a little bit. But when those people come along, I definitely pay way more attention to them now. Even like when I was talking to you earlier about like the meditation stuff, like I was like, well, that's a cool moment to connect with that person. And like I see where they're successful and they like doing that. And that's a super beneficial thing that I think I can get into. And then like, I don't know, sometimes it's just an odd thing that like feels good to accept and then be like, yeah, I like where this is going.
Yeah. I don't know. I've really, in the last year, I've changed so many ways of thinking about stuff, and I'm still doing all the normal stuff. It's just, I literally stopped caring about all the negativity.
Do you think it's just from like living long enough? Like I've been having conversations with people where I'm like I've always been excited to get in my 40s because I feel like that's the most mentally sound you've been because you've lived 40 years. So like you kind of catch things before they happen, or like I'll just be like talking to the younger kids at work and I'm like, this is probably like how my parents were. But like, I don't know, like getting into like my 40s now, it's like I'm definitely thinking way different than I did at any other point in my life.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still... Shit. I've literally been doing the same stuff since like my mid-20s. Like I literally haven't stopped doing bands the last 23 years, skating, doing art. Like, But now I'm very comfortable with myself. A long time ago, I was
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
not like, I was like, and that weird feeling, I think, held me back some. Where now I'm just like, I'm very comfortable in who I am, and I think I'm still creating. Like, my skating has been crazy the last 4 or 5 years, and you figure when you get older, you start to lose a lot more. And you can ask Adam, Tyler, Jeremy, there's a lot of Carl, like they've seen me like expand, and I'm just like, this from not caring and having fun and going out, and now I'm just like, I can, like, in my head I can do anything. Like, I literally, like, I'm not on some weird drugs. I don't go to counselor all the time. I just literally just change my ways of thinking, where I'm like, anything is possible, anything is doable. I can get there with my friends by my side. And it's like obsessively saying it over and over again. Every day I go out and I try and do something. I mean, I'm almost 50. Like, I just turned 48, but yet I still feel like I'm still getting it. And it's exciting. It makes my year go by. It makes my day go by. I'm constantly thinking about, maybe in a conversation with us, like, I might grab something and be like, oh, that'd be a cool song title. Or like, you'll say a word, and I'm always grabbing inspiration from my friends whenever it happens.
I like to create that way sometimes too.
And it's just, it's truly like so beneficial. So yeah, Michael, stop caring what anyone else thinks. You know the right direction you got to go, and you'll get there. So, because you want it to get there. You're not a quitter. Like, I hate giving up on certain things, and I had to give up on something earlier this year, but I just think it was like timing. And like,
that's a hard pill to swallow.
It is timing.
Timing's a motherfucker.
Because everyone's like, oh, you have all this. I'm like, no, I get like 3.5 hours of sleep a day. I don't catch up on sleep till the weekend. Now I'm starting to do 6 days a week at work. I'm still working in the middle. Like, so I'm always doing something, but I'm like, I still got to pay bills. I still got to have a house, and I need a car. So I'm going to keep doing it and keep moving forward. But it was really hard to give up on something early this year, but I just realized, like, doing the book, doing the band, trying this acoustic thing, and getting more hours at my job, I'm just like, bro, like, I can't commit to this, because now I'm just like, I feel like I wouldn't be doing the task justice. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of hard to like let something go, but I'm like, nah, I'm going to come back to it. It's just not the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always like, when you said timing, like, that hit home. And then, like, sometimes I forget that I can put a project down, and I build everything so I can pivot. But sometimes when you get stuck on something, and then you work on it for a while, and then it's going somewhere, and then you have to put it down with, like, you have to. And then, like, it's tough sometimes, like, pull back and pivot. And then, like, when I do, that's when I realize, I'm like, oh man, like, you forget, like, I could go back to the day that this was all created to get out of the feelings that I felt. And then sometimes when I get stuck in something, I really like to, like, oh, hey, I'm going to go over here now. Like, I'll never stop doing apparel. I don't care if it's not even released.
Oh no!
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
listen,
I've been doing apparel the entire time, and then I get excited because apparel turned into, like, the clothing turned into the podcast turned into the cooking is turning into a restaurant, and then the restaurant is going to turn into, like, a stable environment for me to run my own business without having to make my creative side have to bring in the funds. And then it's like, wow, like, that was all created because, like, I was living above a bar dating a heroin addict, and I got sober. And then I was just like, that moment completely just changed this entire pattern of, like, this one thing that I did. So, like, that one thing I'm in love with doing, because it literally was, like, my saving grace of getting out of, like, the worst case scenario that, like, my friends were yelling, get off the ship. I couldn't. And then when I, like, stopped doing all of this stuff, and, like, this moment, like, I'm like, man, like, what would my life have been if I didn't choose to create this thing? So, like, I will never, like, you were talked about it earlier, like, where, like, I'll just, like, look at something and be like, that'd be a cool shirt. Like, I think that way now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm constantly creating. And then, like, I realized as a kid, like, looking out a window and, like, pretending, like, as the car drove, I was, like, pretending I would be on, like, a dirt bike. And it was always my imagination, and I was always creating with my imagination. And then, like, when I trigger all this stuff and have lived long enough and look back at it now, it's like, it's how I think now. It's not even anything about never again. It's not anything about making an apparel. I I now think differently because I chose to think differently at that moment in time when I wasn't thinking. I was just getting fucked up. I had these fucked up people around me. I was, living in the worst case scenario, and then I chose to like just think differently than everyone else around me. And I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to do the opposite of everything that's going on around me, and let's see what happens. And it completely changed my life. And now I think that way where like if I get in a situation, I'm like, flip the script. All right, do we need to get out of here? All right, well, why don't we just start creating? Hey, get back over into Never Again. We forgot. We're leaving the lane of Never Again. Get back over into Never Again, and that's your creation. Start making T-shirts. Start making stuff that makes you feel better. Start digging out of here. You want money? Sell a T-shirt. You need this? Like, it's wild what changing your thinking completely has done, because I wouldn't, like, when I chose to do what I was doing, it feels like this is where I was going, but I didn't know that half of my friends would be dead and I would be on this fucked up path, and that the end result would be me opening a bagel smith. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so wild. Yeah. And then I look at like all the times that I could have stopped, and it's just like I lost multiple best friends. I lost multiple friends when I didn't know how to handle death. I lost my best friend when I knew how to handle death, and like I didn't think that like that would be things that happened along the way of my idea. And then it's like me creating that entire time is really the only thing that I could contribute to any success that I've ever had, or anything that I've gained or grown as a man, is from creating and like me choosing to think differently. And like anyone who's listening, or anyone who feeds these books to their kids or looks at any of our stories, it's all on thinking differently on the narrative, because I feel like I did it when I was young and I was told not to do it, because I feel like our generation had to be a little bit more loud to get their point across. But like I don't even know what I would change, because there were so many different things that happened because I thought differently. And like, it was just something that like I felt like I always had to do. I mean, it's probably similar with you. Like, do you remember being younger and like just constantly always looking at things and being like, well, what about that side?
Oh, constantly. I mean, skateboarding has literally changed my thought processes on all kinds of stuff. But then like the same with music. Like, I don't know. I think I see so much. So I see so differently now that it's become I'm like obsessed about it. But also it's just like I constantly can notice screen printing different, or skate spots different, or I hear something musically. Like Ben, the other, like one practice, he just started warming up with something, and I just was like, oh my God, I'm not even hooked up yet. And I looked at the drummer. I went, Mikey, did you hear that? And he goes, I'm ready. And I went, all right, cool. And I go, I know the notes. And then Ben's like, what did I just do? And I'm like, follow along. And then we made up this like warm-up jam. And it was like only a couple notes. And then, you're watching the whole process. But I just feel like once you get to that spot where you are very comfortable in who you are, and you want to skate some trash, or I'll look at an abandoned building and look at it destructive, and then showing my friend Adam who wants to shoot a skate photo, I'll be like, listen, I'm probably going to get messed up, but I feel like if we put some pieces of wood here, the background is just going to look like an apocalyptic photo, and it's just going to be me writing down some sheets of wood, which is really sketchy, and I'm probably going to die. But I know I'm going to get to the bottom of it, and I'm going to ride away. I'm only going to do it one time. Don't miss the shot. But we're going to look at the photo and be like, yo, that was awesome. So, I mean, I don't like skate handrails. I don't care about ledges. I care about curbs, banks, and weird stuff. And mostly I just look for stuff that I don't even look at the trick anymore. I just look at the backgrounds.
It was cool to watch that come to life.
Yeah, and like that's how you just
because you put that entire thing on your social media.
Yeah,
like you just started doing things. And it might have been when I picked it up, but like you guys are like going down to like these fucking drainage ditches like off the side of the road, and there was like just like trees and shit, and I was just like, oh, this is fucking dope.
Yeah, we found tunnels,
because it's the hardest thing ever to find spots.
Yeah,
but you guys were just finding spots that weren't spots and making them spots.
Correct. And I always feel like the best with skating is like when you find something that no one's ever been to, and like or it's like, oh, I never knew that was there. I was too scared to get out of the car.
It was like driving around the plazas in the 90s when they first started putting the plazas up around here.
Yeah.
You're just driving around with like 5 dudes in a car, see if there's steps somewhere.
Yeah, but I'm constantly like exploring. Like I always say like the adventure is endless, like in the book, because it is. Like I'm always looking for stuff, if it's for like a music video, or I'll go back and film this like some random scene in like a scenery that this looks like really cool. But I think people forget about what you have in your surroundings that's locally. Like you don't got to travel real far to find the coolest stuff. If anything, people are freaking out about what we have around this area from other towns, because they're like, oh, that is cool. Like Toy Machine used to come here, and like people would be all over here trying to skate these spots. Or when I found out like someone from like a BMXer from like New York was trying to find these underground tunnels that we found years ago in Allentown that we skated with lights and crawling around. And I'm just like, I think it's hilarious, but it's all there. You just got to go look for it. You just got to see past it. I think a lot of people forget to see past a lot of things. And I don't know. Yeah, just explore, man. That's it. Explore everything you do. Like it doesn't just stop. It never stops. If your creative juices are going, it can go on forever. And I'm kind of like an example of like I've never stopped doing anything. Never stopped skating. Well, I'm like 48 and still obsessed about skateboarding. And it brings me so much joy. Or even see my friends relearn stuff. I skated with Jared over the weekend, and he did a transfer.
Yeah, he's back skating a lot.
Yeah, and he did his transfer at Jordan, but he didn't want to try it at first until I looked at him and I went, I think someone needs to tell you can do it. And then he just did it like next try. He's like, I needed that. And I was like, 100% you did. Because I need that. I need someone like, well, I'm flying around with flat spots and it sounds like a helicopter over top of us. But while I'm flying around, I need people to tell me, hey, you should just try that anyway. And then, yeah, just make the point to get the most out of your life, in every aspect. Start your day completing a task right when you get up, and then that'll set the pace for the rest of your day. I mean, I've had like some really horrible situations at work where I don't even let it bother me anymore. I walk in the building, punch in, and I go, I'm just going to kill it today. I'm going to do a great job, and I don't care. I'm going to try. And then if you have that outlook, I think it deals with like the rest of your life. So
there's no better way to wrap up than the point that you just made there. And after sitting down with you and kind of like, I follow your social media, and to me, all the things that you say is everything that you show. And I think it's so cool now that like you're picking up another palette to paint that on. Like everything you just said and everything we talked about with like the skate spots and like creating and finding your own thing and doing all that, you're now putting a version of that in these children's books, and you're now finding another group of people that you can completely tell your story of like, and your point of view too. And I just think it's awesome that everything that you do is 100% you, 100% true to what you're doing, and more than likely is going to have the same message of just like everything that you just explained with like, you shouldn't give up on stuff. You should always be working on things that you like to do. You should always be trying to have a good day. Like it's just such a positive sound message that I think a lot of people forget anymore, especially with the hustle and bustle and the likes and social media and all the fucking distractions. I think that like at a core, there's not enough people explaining that. And I think it's awesome that you're now explaining that to your friends' kids and finding new audiences to do all this, and still doing your boards and still doing your music, and everything that you touch is just like this very simple, same message. And then behind that is you following up with that message by creating this, which is the perfect example of like who you are as a person. And I don't think anybody does it better than you in the Valley. And I appreciate the things that you do. I think sometimes it's overlooked, but it's not by me. And I appreciate it. And I'm always honored and always want to put you up on this platform because I think it needs to get out there, even if it's 12 people that still listen to my show.
It's the whole point of like, listen, like I know I'll never be famous. I've accepted it. I know I'm never going to be some gigantic cash cow, or my businesses are all going to take off. But I always keep telling everyone, I just want to be rich with memories. And I don't know how many more times I have to say it. Like, I want to do all this stuff with my friends. It doesn't matter. Like, because like skateboarding and bands and art has always extended out so far, like to the non-corporate world, and like to this, not the average Joe, to people, to find those like-minded people. So to me, I'm always like, it's my job to bring them all along with me, and like, let's just make this adventure sick. Like, let's just make it fun. Like, there's so much other nonsense and BS in this world that like can suck, but like I refuse to dwell in it. Okay.
Yeah.
I like, it's so easy to say it, but like I do. Like, I literally, you talk church, state politics, I put my hand, I put my hand up and walk away.
Somebody asked me about something like, hey, do you know this is going on? And I was like, dude, I'm not plugged into any of that shit.
No, but and also like negative energy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I had some people reach out, crazy DMs, and like, I can't believe you
It's
do
so crazy
this.
how accessible everyone is to each other.
And they think like you can't, like, they can say all this online, but like, I'm like, cool. So like, I can like meet you tomorrow and just like to like talk about it face to face and see if you're gonna act the same way. Because right now you're projecting some crazy,
super wild.
To like, and I just go, I don't know. So it happened this year, and I was just like, I went and I talked to the kids, and I was like, what was the big deal? And they're like, oh, I go, well, I mean, you're like actively freaking out online or talking, and I'm like, well, just tell me how you feel in person. And they're like, well, you're like intimidating, and I'm like, well, you should realize that you're justifiable for your actions at all times.
Yeah.
And that's what I was always told. Don't bite off more than you can chew. So I just talked it out, and I was like, well, this is what I'm trying to do with my brands and my stuff. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. It's not for everyone. It's okay.
Yeah.
You have to, I've accepted it that like my art's not the greatest or my brand's not the coolest and I'm not selling these crazy units, but that's not what I want to do with my life. You know what I mean? My life is just, I got made fun of for why are you called a pro skater, right? Or why are you I'm not proclaimed. I didn't do it. It was years ago, but you're upset that I run a brand where like I give your friends free stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like I'm like racking my
you have
brain.
No problem coming to a contest to accept a free board.
I'm just like so I give out my stuff to my friends just because I want to make a video with my friends. I buy all the tapes.
Yeah.
I do all that stuff. I have my friend.
I lose money
constantly
that I work for at a real job that I don't like.
And I you know, and you won't come to our events because like it's at a movie theater where I get everybody underneath one door to hang out for one night and feel like the world doesn't completely suck in this 30 minutes. Like, that's my job, is to bring everyone together. I love
bringing people together.
It's always been that way.
Like, looking back on like the shit that went on here, like the comedy show, and then I had a music act down here, and like just parties and things that we did. Like, it was always such a cool space to bring like so many people together, and it was always cool. It's one thing one of my favorite things to do. Even when we talked about like the restaurant and like the hours, I'm like, hey, there'll still be this like little pocket where I can do like these get-togethers with people, and it's like a little bit more intimate. And if like you pay attention to what I'm doing, like you can come get these special things. Like, I like that because those are the people who are like plugged in or like are fucking with it. But like, to touch back on like what you were saying earlier, like, I never knew what I was going to do with this. When I first started it, I was always like, it's going to make money because everybody around me was supporting it. And I was like, this is going to be something. And then after I realized how much hard work it was and how far away the money was, and then when I got to a point where I left the post office and I was just doing this, it was hard for me to want to make more money because I was so content that I knew that money wasn't the answer to my problems, and it was freedom. And once I had freedom and I could do my own thing, and even though it was ran wrong and it was barely held together with duct tape and bullshit, and like God knows how I got my taxes together, but like the fact that like it was on two wheels is all I wanted, because I was waking up without an alarm clock. I was going into the woods and getting my hiking done, coming back here, creating, setting up podcasts, building everything, figuring out sponsors and all that. Like, I look back at like when it was such an enjoyable thing of building it, and it was like, like that's all I wanted. I didn't want, if I would have got money and would have had to keep running this like it was DC or some bullshit like that, I think I would have hated it. I think I would have fucking hated it because I wouldn't have had freedom. It would have been more work, more responsibilities. Like, my big thing with opening the restaurant is like, I just want to get to a point where like we're making enough money that like that's where we're cool. And then I don't want to work any really harder than that, because I don't want to have 60 employees. And then now I'm the guy who's just in charge of all these people to get to a crazy number. And then I got to pay. Like, I want to keep it to a point where it's like, if you don't show up, like, you're probably not going to get food because it's selling out fast. And then like, be a part of the culture of showing up when the doors open and be those people that are like, yo, we're fucking here to get a warm bagel and a coffee. And like, if you miss that, I am not here to be Borders. I am not here to be Dunkin' Donuts. I am not going to hire people who want to kill themselves because they're working night shift to make more fucking bagels because I have some astronomical dream that I want to like capture with money. Like, so when you said that, it like really hit home. Like, I don't want to be famous. I want to get back to a point where like, and I'm close to it where I'm free again. I'm free again. Like I'm free now. I love Sal. I love Giacomo's. Like I love that fucking crew. I love being on a pirate ship. I love we are so fucking busy over there. It's crazy. And I'm working with these dudes and we're all getting a task done and we're completing the task and everybody's different, but all we're trying to do is get to a task of like, let's get through the fucking day. It's why I love cooking, because it's like you could have 5 different people you could have someone who's married and just has a normal life and they want to cook. You have somebody who's just living by themselves. You can have somebody who's got problems, and everybody's just working towards one goal. Don't fuck the orders up, get it out. We're making money, and we just get into the end of the day. And it's like, I want to get back there. And like, I'm on the path to do it, and I always see you doing it. And it's like I said, man, it's motivational. It's why I love having you on. We should catch up more outside of a podcast. We talked for like 2 hours before we even did this. We won't stop. So I want to give you a chance to plug how anyone can attend the book show, because we're going to drop this next Friday. So like, just give all the details on your social media and when the event is, and then we'll cut some promos.
Sounds good. So, Jacob and Ridley Go Skateboarding. November 25th, Saturday. It's going to be at the Bethlehem Library in Northside off of Church Street from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. I'm going to do book signing, and also it'll be the first time you can purchase the book. I'm having some limited toys made for the event.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've been really working hard with some local artists to help me make some resin toys. I'm releasing some other like keychains and some other stuff. I don't know. The whole idea is just to get people a couple days after Thanksgiving to get together and hang out, and just stop out, have a good time. And this skateboarding has meant the world to me. It's been like the coolest thing in my life. That like for between that and music, for meeting people that I would never ever talk to. I mean, people didn't even know my English language when I was in the service, going to these different countries. But when I had a skateboard, it was like we spoke the same language. So I'm just like, it's cool. So I just want to like remind people that like, never stop using your imagination, and that you should always follow through with your stuff. Like, always follow through with your dreams. You're never too old to just explore, create. Like, just remember, nothing should be stopping you. And I don't know. Come say, may the cool times never end on the Saturday, the 25th of November. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me, and also support the library. Hell
yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on. If you're first time listener, first time watcher, first time anything, it's Never Again. I don't even remember the fucking closer. NeverAgainStudio.com. Yeah.
There it is.
NeverAgainStudio.com. That has the podcast. It has the apparel. It has everything on there. All the backlogs are on there. Spotify is the easiest place to find it. Never Again Studio on Spotify. Never Again Studio on YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube. There's going to be a lot of different stuff coming on there. The format's eventually going to change. And I appreciate you for coming on, man. I haven't podcasted in a while. It was nice to get back. Nice to get back behind the ones and twos and get it done.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's just, there's a drive in certain people that I only mess with anymore, and when I see people doing something on the same level, that I'm just like, oh man, like, I just know this could be a conversation that I want to have long. We always do it every time we get here. We talk for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then we do the podcast. We're like, all right, cool. We have like 40 minutes. I'm like, well, we already talked about everything, but that's just. But I mess with people that are cool. Like I like you a lot. I think you have a good head on your shoulders. I just feel like it's my job to remind you and remind anyone, like, dude, you can make these dreams happen. You make these tasks happen. See the beginning and middle of end of any situation before you even start, and you're good to go. And I just noticed a huge change in my thinking once I started thinking that way. Like, I don't think about a lot of like, let the negativity go. Let that all for like people who just like want to waste their time in that stuff. Just hang out with your friends.
There's a lot of people who want to do it.
Yeah, and it's just like, I'm not into it. Like, May the cool times never end. I'll keep saying it over and over again because that's just how I want my life to be. But thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. And a side note with all that negativity, Lethal Weapon. I'm too old for this shit, man. I'm too old. I'm too old. Danny
old.
Glover.
Yeah, that's classic. Yeah, and that's what we're supposed to do. You're supposed to be laughing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Well,
the older I get, the more I say it. I'm too old for this shit, Riggs.
Well, I always use Rambo stuff. I'm always at work when I'm like, like some of the phrases are kind of funny that like Sylvester Stallone uses, but I don't know. Just like I catch myself saying them too, but I'm like blanking right now because I'm like already thinking about band practice and like how I'm late. So it's cool. But
it's 7:30. I got a little bit more time. We can cut some promos.
But awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Never Again Radio. Get into it, brother.